A 60-inch long piece of 1-inch Schedule 40 white PVC. My thoughts were that I'm going to try and create more of a conventional or, I don't know, fairy tale, sort of the fantasy style of recurve bow. Something that wouldn't feel too out of place in Lord of the Rings or something like that. So I'm going to go ahead, flatten the limbs, completely straight flat, and then I'm going to figure out how I'm going to taper them. Because right now, they're going to be just normal, thick, rather ugly looking, but we'll work on that once we get there. Finish this up. So now moving relatively quickly, I'm going to go over here and flatten this limb. It's a pretty long one. So I'm actually going to be using my old flattening jig upside down. There we go. The lines of the floor are nice because they allow you to index to make sure that you're getting it straight. When this is finally cooled, we may end up going ahead and reshaping it, but for now this will have to work. One problem with using something as thin as this board is that it'll deform under your weight as you hold the bow down, so it'll actually bow in the center, making the mid-limb region a little bit thinner. In this case, the mid-limb is also a little bit stiffer, so it works out. Just take it off and check. See how it's not straight? Just pick it up and bend it against your knee. There you go. Perfect. Yeah. On wood, I find it takes quite a bit longer to cool off. If it's on concrete, it just takes a few minutes and really then it's not workable. But on a wood floor like this, it gives you a little bit more working time, which for a larger piece like this is nice. Gets you the opportunity to take the flattening board off, shape it like I just showed you, bending it against your knee, so forth. Okay. There we go. Not perfect, but we can iron out any wrinkles in the plan. For now, that's great. I'm going to do the same thing to the other one. We've got both sides flattened, fairly straight and good. Now I'm going to take the last 8 inches. I mark inch 6, 7, and 8, just so I know roughly where we are. And I'm going to bend it around my usual pot. It's not there yet, but as you do it, you'll just start to notice it soften just a little bit before it starts to puff. And again, we don't want it to fully puff, if possible. It just complicates the whole forming procedure if you have to completely flatten it out as you curve it. There we go. I'm just going to hit the sides gently. They're probably already warm enough. And there it is. Now, there. There we go. That's lovely. Okay, now one of the other benefits of this is when you bend it, they usually tend to develop a little crevice in the center. The string usually falls right into that, which is great. You don't need string guides in general if you're careful about how you do this. But we are going to end up tapering this somehow. I'm not sure how yet, but it's something to bear in mind. There we go. There we go. It looks great. Looks really good. And the bend is essentially a 90-degree bend. Okay. From here to here, it's 90 degrees. I'm just going to let that cool and do it to the other side. So for this stage, I already have the ends curved. They're a bit on the sharp side. That's how I wanted them. Now, a slight deflex. As I flatten the handle, I want to introduce a very slight, gentle deflex. That's also characteristic for the Legolas style bow, at least. It's not going to look good for every other style, but that's what I'm going for right now, and we'll see how it turns out. Okay, that's nice and soft. So now we can go ahead and squish it a bit. That'll make it more comfortable to hold. What I like to do is squish it from one side, whoops, and flip it, squish it from the other side. And if I have two gloves on, I'll try and alternate the hands too, because you're going to pinch it just slightly differently. That'll end up making it the most even you can possibly make it. Before it cools appreciably, but after it stops rebounding so much from the initial squish, I like to go and check, make sure it's still straight. Yep, pretty good. And we can let that stand as the reflex or the deflex right there. That'll be almost perfect. Alright, so I'm going to let this cool, and then we'll take a look at what we have, and I'll see what I'm going to do to the tips of the bows. It'll be fun to try and figure something out. I decided I was going to taper them like this, so I marked 6 inches in, ½ inch on each side, and then I sawed it out by hand. I still don't have my bandsaw up and running per se, but that'll come soon, and I'm looking forward to trying it out. I think it'll simplify things. Right now I'm just going to go ahead and perform the little pinching procedure. So. It should become fairly flexible really quickly. Since you're heating only just a very small area. Yep. Okay. So I can feel it softened. So I just went ahead and pinched it nice and tight. That'll be a nice tip when I'm done. See how it's matched very well? For me, that's really pretty damn... Pardon me, I should watch my language. Pretty darn good. It's not completely symmetrical, but the end result will be just fine since we're going to be gluing them together anyway. Okay, it's already holding itself. Typically, when it's not really load-bearing, I'll just go ahead and put in some hot glue. You could use epoxy, you could use silicone sealer, you could use all sorts of things. But that's what I'll do for this one. Now I'm just going to do the same thing to the other side. Then the next step will be gluing it up, cutting some nocks, and trying to find a string for it.